Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth just broke down under pressure while testifying before the House Armed Services Committee. He was struggling. He was shouting. He looked like a trapped animal. Let me show you what happened during this spot-on questioning of Hegseth. First, Democratic Congress member Carbajal questioned Hegseth and pointed out just how unqualified Hegseth is. Here, watch this clip.
So I will move on, sir, and I'm going to reclaim my time. General George, let's talk about a guy who's a patriot, somebody who every single person here in this dais and down there in that audience and out there in this world has huge admiration for. Why did he get fired?
Well, as with any moves we make with general officers, first of all, I thank them for their service. And ultimately,
my impression is you thanked him by a text or a phone call. You didn't even do it to his face.
Out of respect for these officers, we never talk about the nature of their removal, but every one of them, including myself, knows that they serve at the pleasure of the president. Ultimately, out of respect to these officers, we don't reveal it. However, I will note, it's very difficult to change the culture of a department that was been destroyed by the wrong perspectives.
So you think General George destroyed a culture?
There are many, we've gotten rid of many general officers in this administration because we need new leadership.
Sir. You have no way of explaining why you fired one of the most decorated and remarkable men who's
we
ever
needed
served
new
the
leadership.
And so your answer is a very immature way of responding to my request.
Next, Democratic Congresswoman Houlihan questioned Hegseth as he refused to explain why General Randy George, the former Army Chief of Staff, was fired by text message from Hegseth. Watch this clip.
Despite the fact that your recent comments indicate that operations appear to be finished, there clearly is more work that needs to be done. As mentioned, today is indeed 60 days. So, Mr. Secretary, how many more months, just order of magnitude, do you think that you're going to need to be able to conclude operations successfully? And how many more billions of dollars do you think you're going to ask this body for?
Well, as you know, and as the president has stated, you would never tell your adversary, especially once you've
that is the line that you always
especially once you've
give me an order of
decimated their military and you control their strait,
4X.
how long you would be committed to the
Further, during questioning by Congresswoman Houlihan, Hegseth refused to say how many more months would be needed to end the disastrous and catastrophic war in Iran. Watch this clip.
Despite the fact that your recent comments indicate that operations appear to be finished, there clearly is more work that needs to be done. As mentioned, today is indeed 60 days. So, Mr. Secretary, how many more months, just order of magnitude, do you think that you're going to need to be able to conclude operations successfully? And how many more billions of dollars do you think you're going to ask this body for?
Well, as you know, and as the president has stated, you would never tell your adversary, especially once you've
that is the line that you always
especially once you've
give me an order of
decimated their military and you control their strait,
4X.
how long you would be committed to.
Next, Democratic Congress member Vineman questioned Hegseth and said, "So, Hegseth, are you blaming your daddy now for this war? Trump's your daddy. You're blaming daddy?" Here, watch this clip.
For President Trump, overwhelmingly, they voted for that
I got
position.
that, but the president ordered the strike. Is that correct?
Which strike are you referring to?
The strike on Iran, the war that we're in.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's the commander in chief. He's made the calls.
It sounds like you're blaming daddy for the mess we're in, and I don't think he's going to be particularly happy with you.
I see what you're trying to do. There's no daylight in this administration on this campaign, and I'm happy to stand shoulder to shoulder with this administration.
Reclaiming my time.
More from Democratic Congress member Vineman here as well, saying, "You believe the American people voted for this catastrophic war in Iran. That's what you testified to during your opening statement." Watch this.
Close. And so I just want to kind of give you the state of play right now. It's been 2 months of war. We have hopes for a resolution, but the war continues, really. Iran has closed the strait, and we've now gone in and blockaded their ports. 1/5 of the world's oil is unable to transit the strait, and the American people and the department are paying significantly more. And you also said that this is what the American people actually voted for. But actually, the American people voted for a promise not to get into Middle Eastern wars. And they voted for lower prices. And this is the exact opposite of what they got. So let me ask you this. The president ordered the strike. Is that correct?
The president's been saying for over 30 years that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. So he's been very clear as a
We're
position
talking
when
about
American people voted for President Trump overwhelmingly. They voted for that
I got
position.
that, but the president ordered the strike. Is that correct?
And then we heard this cross-examination from Democratic Congress member Goodlander, and she was saying, so, do you agree with the statement that the military should not follow unlawful orders? And then Hegseth is like, what a partisan talking point that is. Here, watch this clip.
Of American law that our service members follow lawful orders and lawful orders only. Is that right? Do you agree with the statement, quote, the military won't follow unlawful orders?
I do.
Mr. Hegseth, do you agree with that statement?
I do, but understand what you're insinuating at a partisan point.
I'm not. I'm actually quoting you directly, Mr. Hegseth, from April 12th, 2016. And I appreciate that on the record, you've clarified this important principle of American law.
Time's expired.
Next up, Democratic Congress member Moulton, a veteran himself, was cross-examining Hegseth. Hegseth was standing by his no quarter statement, which is a war crime, where Hegseth said that if people are surrendering in a war, you are allowed to kill them and show them no quarter. Watch this cross-examination by Moulton. Here, watch this clip.
Now, quickly, on March 13th in a press conference, you said, we will give them no quarter, no mercy. In order for no quarter or no survivors is a war crime under the Geneva Conventions. You understand that's murder. Do you stand by that statement?
The Department of War fights to win, and we ensure that our warfighters have the rules of engagement necessary to be as effective
Okay, so
as
just to
humanly
be clear,
possible.
you called Democratic members of Congress to be tried for sedition for reminding our troops to follow the law. But when you tell them to commit a war crime, you stand by yourself.
For insinuating that the laws that we're giving them are unlawful.
And we heard from another veteran on this committee, Democratic Congress member Deluzio from the Pittsburgh region. Watch his cross-examination of Hegseth right here.
This earlier. You said in, I think, your press conference, essentially, and I'll quote you here, no quarter, no mercy for our enemies. That's the end of the quote. Is your guidance that you expect our troops in harm's way, if there's a foreign enemy surrendering, laying down their arms, they're supposed to provide no quarter and kill them?
You denied it, but you were indeed trying to take the chairman to a partisan place. That was General Milley. That was the previous administration, which played politics. We don't play that way.
It's a simple question. I'm asking you what you meant.
We fight to win, and we ensure the rules of engagements are such that our troops have every authority possible.
I'll give you another chance. In saying that, are you trying to tell commanders that that's what you expect? You're in the chain of command. It's a simple question.
I understand that. My commanders know exactly what the guidance is with each and every mission, and they know every tool.
Secretary,
in
refusing to answer it, I think you speak volumes. I think that's a dangerous thing. We all know the expectations. We know the law of war. We know what is lawful. I'd expect our commanders to understand that as well.
Then another veteran, Democratic Congress member Ryan, was cross-examining Hegseth. Watch what went down. Let's watch this clip.
Were vulnerable. In fact, they requested additional force protection. Did they receive it?
Wherever humanly possible, force protection and counter UAS was always made available.
They did not. In fact, when asked to describe the base's defense, one survivor who's come forward from the unit said, quote, I would put it in the none category. From a drone defense capability, none. So let's be clear, no counter drone capabilities, no counter rocket systems, no counter mortar or counter artillery, not even the basic overhead protection that you and I had 20 years ago in Iraq. And now 6 of our soldiers are dead. The next day, you downplayed the attack. You said it was a squirter that squeaked through fortified defenses. But since then, thankfully, brave survivors have come forward to set the record straight. One of our surviving soldiers told CBS, quote, painting a picture that one squeaked through is a falsehood. Another said the unit was, quote, unprepared to provide any defense for itself. It was not a fortified position. Another survivor said the building's protection was about as weak as one gets. Secretary Hegseth, that is obviously in direct contradiction to what you said from the Pentagon podium the next day. So are you saying that these soldiers, our soldiers, who survived this horrific attack are lying?
What I'm saying is before the commencement of the conflict, we put in maximum defensive posture we could.
That's a direct
We
contradiction
moved
to
70
what they said.
in this directing. Can I speak, or are you just going to monologue falsehoods all over the place?
It's not a falsehood.
We moved 7,500 troops off of
Reclaiming
the
my
X based
time.
on the intel.
Stop.
Based on the intel.
Stop. Reclaiming my time.
Because you yell doesn't
Are
make you right.
calling-
Just because you yell doesn't make you right.
I'm reclaiming my time on behalf of these survivors. You just said what they said is a falsehood.
There's a much larger
Is that
picture.
true?
There's a much larger picture at play here that included integrated air defenses, bunkers, moving people off
Then
the
why,
X
Mr.
to
Secretary,
ensure
are
that they were
dead?
not part of the target. We moved those troops and all across the theater, thousands of troops off the X, off of their bases, because we knew what Iran was going to try to strike, and we knew there
So
could
no
be a
answer.
tragic moment.
No
There could be a
answer, Mr.
tragic moment where
Secretary.
something
Again.
could get through. Of
Again,
course, that's the
I'm
consequence of
reclaiming my
conflict,
time.
and we
Again.
remember those 6 every single day.
I want to
But
finish.
don't play games with.
I'm not playing games.
raising
I
your
want to
voice
finish
and
with
pointing
one more
fingers.
quote from a survivor of the attack. And I put this on the record. Telling the truth is important. And we're not going to learn from these mistakes if we pretend these mistakes didn't happen. Secretary Hegseth, those soldiers told the truth. Those soldiers are braver than you are.
I commend
They
them.
are asking for accountability. They deserve accountability. And I'm asking for the same, starting with you. And as I said a year ago, you need to resign immediately.
I commend those
And I
soldiers.
yield back.
More cross-examination from Democratic Congress member DeLuzio right here. Let's watch it.
Secretary, you heard direct quotes from some of them via CBS's reporting. They were willing to talk to the press. Things like they were unprepared to provide any defense for themselves in the unit. Things like we were moved closer to Iran to a deeply unsafe area that was a known target. Your spokesperson, Sean Parnell, in response to that reporting, said it was not true. Do you agree with that? He's calling these guys liars?
I'm not calling our troops liars, and I don't know if what you're representing is correct or not. I'll take you at your word on that. But all I know is that we took every effort possible at the commencement of this campaign to ensure the defense of our troops, to include moving them off of known bases to places that were not known, and we had intel.
Understood,
intel were
Secretary.
not
And
known, and then those were fortified with bunkers and other fortifications with theater air defenses. Was our concern that something?
I'm going to pause you there. I'm going to give you a chance.
Absolutely.
Secretary,
No,
I'm going to
you're
give you a chance.
disparaging me that I don't care.
I'm
about the
asking you whether you
passing
think
of-
they're
No,
liars or not.
You
That's what I asked
you
you.
are disparaging me that I don't care about the passing of our troops.
Nope.
That
I asked
think
if you
our
thought
troops
they're
are-
liars, Secretary.
That's disparaging
Let me
and
reclaim my
smearing
time.
in every way. Nobody cares more about
Gentlemen,
the fate of our troops. Nobody cares
Mr.
about the
Mr.
health of our troops.
Mr.
Nobody
Secretary,
wants to bring them all hope
Mr.
more than I do.
Secretary,
What
I
they're
understand,
doing
but
is
he
insinuating
controls the
we don't care.
time. He controls the time. You could control your answer. And the gentleman's
If we're allowed to answer.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Secretary, my question was clear whether you thought they were liars or not. You don't seem to want to answer it. We can move.
Then under questioning by the ranking member on this committee, Democratic Congress member Smith, finally, a duty official in the Trump administration admits that the Iran war has already cost at least $25 billion. Let's watch this clip.
Drag you into the conversation here. We have not yet received from the Pentagon the costs of the war. So just for the record, we'd like to get that as soon as possible. Certainly the munitions expended, but also underreported is we've had a fair amount of equipment destroyed, including 2 C-130s with the rescue of our downed airmen. So do you have either A, a cost estimate coming to us anytime soon, or B, a specific supplemental request?
Thank you for that question. So approximately at this day, we're spending about $25 billion on Operation Epic Fury. Most of that is munitions. There's part of that is obviously O&M and equipment replacement. We will formulate a supplemental through the White House that will come to Congress once we have a full assessment of the cost of the conflict.
Sure. Okay. So you're saying the full cost at this point is $25 billion.
Yeah, that's our estimate for the cost.
Okay. Interesting, because I'm glad you answered that question, because we've been asking for a hell of a long time and no one's given us the number. So if you could get those details over to us.
More cross-examination right here from Congress member Smith. You'll see that Hegseth really ran into trouble throughout this cross-examination. He claimed that Iran's nuclear facilities were destroyed. But then when Smith pointed out, well, how are they destroyed? But you claim that their nuclear capabilities pose an immediate threat. To which Hegseth then replied, well, they have nuclear ambitions. Their ambitions were an immediate threat, but they had all of these regular ballistic and cruise missiles like North Korea. Well, Hegseth said, "Thanks for bringing up North Korea, where Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un exchanged love letters, and Kim Jong-un ultimately was able to build nuclear weapons. Now he's apparently bragging about producing 10 nuclear warheads a month and building the largest nuclear arsenal. But because Donald Trump is so utterly pathetic and because our media is so compliant, nobody really talks about that other than independent media and us here at the Midas Touch Network leading the way." Here, watch this clip.
Who's hell-bent on getting a nuclear weapon and get them to a point where they're at the table giving it up in a way that
So they
ensures
haven't-
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the.
Well, their
lethal
nuclear
kinetic-
facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and
Whoa, whoa,
we're
whoa,
watching
whoa,
them
whoa, 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 whoa,
24/7.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
So we know where
whoa, whoa,
any
whoa, whoa,
nuclear material
reclaiming
might
my
be.
time for
We're
just a
watching
quick
it.
second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely
They
obliterated?
had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands
So
of missiles.
Operation Midnight
They're at the
Hammer
weakest
accomplished
moment.
nothing of substance. It
No, you're
left us
missing-
at
you're
exactly
missing
the
the
same
point.
place we were before. So
Their,
much so
their
that we had to
facilities
start
were
a
bombed
war.
and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional
All
shield.
right,
of
let me
missiles.
try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North
I
Korea
know.
strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
And yet
to
they
ensure their
still haven't given
conventional
up the nuclear.
shield was
All right.
was brought
One
to
other
heel, which
question,
we've done.
if I could get.
More cross-examination here from Democratic Congressmember Adam Smith of Hegseth, where Smith's like, "How are you just so wrong on Ukraine? Right? 14 months ago, didn't you say that Ukraine was going to be completely conquered by Russia? So they better make the best deal they could. You're objectively wrong and don't know what you're talking about. How do you explain that?" To which Hegseth is like, "Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. What does Joe Biden have to do with any of it? Makes no sense." Here, watch this clip.
So on Ukraine, a year plus ago, your advice, the president's advice, was Ukraine had no cards to play. They should go cut the best possible deal they could. Clearly, that was wrong. What did you miss? What did you miss about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that you didn't see that Ukraine was going to be capable of doing what they've done in the last 14 months?
What we didn't miss, and we're here in this committee, is that Joe Biden, with no accountability, gave hundreds of billions of dollars of our weapons to Ukraine, to an outcome that never
you're
would
not
have
gonna
happened
an-
if President
you're not gonna
Trump was
answer the
president.
question.
So he pulled out our. You guys don't talk about that. Ultimately, President Trump believes there should be
Okay.
a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. That
But
serves
you
the
didn't
best
expect
interests of both
Ukraine to be
parties.
where they're at right now. I'm asking you, just from a strategic
Listen,
standpoint,
I
what
think
did
the
you miss?
Ukrainians have shown great courage, and I appreciate that Europe is now paying for any weapons that we provide.
All right, I yield back. Thank you.
And we heard from Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna, who questioned Hegseth about the costs of this war. And Hegseth just found it funny, was laughing, that you and all the American people out there and people throughout the world are suffering economically because of Donald Trump and this despicable war. Watch this clip.
How much did it cost American taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed? Do you have that number in terms of the missiles we used?
As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation.
You don't know how much it
15-6
costs the
investigation, but I
taxpayer?
wouldn't tie a cost to that, to anything.
It's a reasonable question, no, sir? I mean, our taxpayer money was going there. Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that
I would
opportunity.
simply ask you what the. You're
but
playing gotcha
sir,
questions
sir,
about
no, it's
domestic
not.
things. I'm not.
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased
Why
cost
won't
of
you
gas
answer what
and
it
food?
costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear
I
bomb?
give you that, sir. But let me.
What
you
would
can
it
just
cost?
ask my-
What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't
But
get a nuclear
can you-
bomb?
Do you?
What would
Sir,
you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost
Let
of
me-
Iran
let me give
holding
you the
that
number.
straight at
Let me
issue with
give you the
nuclear
number.
weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now, let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this better than
but
what the previous administration did to our economy. What the previous administration did for the inflation.
Don't even know what the, you know what's upsetting. I reclaim my time.
COVID, and you're going to lecture this administration about the economy?
You know what is upsetting?
Incredible.
You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence.
You think that's a gotcha question? Hey, ask the Americans right now who can't afford gas, can't afford groceries, whose house may just be about to be in foreclosure, who may be evicted. Tell them that's a gotcha question. More cross-examination here from Khanna. Let's watch it.
Because you said you wouldn't get us into bad wars. You said you would bring down the prices. You know what I'm sad for? I'm sad for all the people who voted for Trump. I'm sad for them because you betrayed them. You betrayed a lot of that MAGA base. And you know who knows that? J.D. Vance knows that.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Then, under some questioning from Congresswoman Tokuda, Hegseth said that Los Angeles would have been on fire last summer if the military didn't intervene. We would have been on fire here. I'm in Los Angeles. We would not have been on fire. We were perfectly beautiful. We didn't need you here. In fact, you made things horrible, like you did throughout the rest of the country. You fascists. Here, watch this clip.
50 years ago. Okay, very good. All right. Well, Secretary Hegseth, if President Trump ordered you to deploy troops to polling places during the midterm elections this fall, which would violate the law I just cited, would you implement his order? Yes or no?
What you're trying to insinuate is that the president would give unlawful orders and we would somehow deploy troops as a result. And the evidence of our department is that we've worked alongside law enforcement very effectively for 15 months. Los Angeles would have been on fire for the summer had we not come across.
I humbly disagree with that, but this is not a hypothetical situation that I'm inferring on. Your president in January of this year told the New York Times that he regretted not ordering the National Guard to seize voting machines in key states after the 2020 election.
More cross-examination from Tokuda right here. Let's watch it.
Voting places was 250 years ago. We're talking 2020. So if the president, again, I'm asking you, orders you to break election law, violate the Constitution and the law, would you follow the orders of the president? Yes or no?
The president, you like to insinuate that the president issues
It's a
illegal
simple
orders,
question.
And does not.
Who would you follow, the president or the Constitution?
I will note that in 2024, troops were deployed. That was Joe Biden, by the way. Joe Biden were deployed to polling locations in 15 states. 2024, Joe Biden, troops deployed to polling locations in 15 states. Explain that one to me.
I am asking you a question now. You seem to really like Joe Biden. You've brought his name up more than many other topics today. Answer the question.
Then, under questioning from Congresswoman Strickland, Hegseth repeatedly refuses to explain why General Randy George was removed from his position in the middle of the war. Why would you remove a 4-star Army Chief of Staff, one of the most beloved people in our military, if not the most beloved? Were you jealous of him? You pathetic clown. Here, watch this clip.
Of military options that are carefully considered with the associated risks with those options and the considerations therein.
So, Mr. Secretary, did you consider this risk?
Of course, this department has looked at all aspects of this risk. And
so then why did you send the
department
minesweepers, the only minesweepers we had in the Gulf, to Singapore weeks before the war started?
We have lots of capabilities that you may or may not be aware of at the classified level.
Okay, and
to
so
deal with
by the way, would the Trump-class battleships have helped with this?
You're talking about a prospective future battleship, which we welcome in the fleet.
Okay, so you're supportive of the battleships?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe.